Garten of BanBan was released on January 7th, 2023, and it was immediately met with generally poor reception due to its seemingly lazy nature and attempt to immediately reap monetary reward for what seemed like a blatant insult to the indie horror genre. And in the last video where I talked about this game, I praised the game's lack of price and was able to ignore most of its issues because of that. However, on March 3rd, they released Garten of BanBan2. This time with a $4.99 price tag. Before I was being nice, and now it's time to tell the honest truth. For the sake of this review, I'm going to be speaking honestly and genuinely about my experience of the game from the perspective of my own playthrough. If you agree or disagree with anything I have to say, that's okay. It's just my opinion. And please keep in mind that I genuinely would like to see this series improve. It doesn't have zero merit. Far from it. And I don't think the Euphoric brothers have any ill intent that warrants straight up bullying their game for. Right off the bat, the game opens exactly the same way the first one did. And I actually don't mind the execution of this introduction. I think it's rather interesting to allow the player to see a depiction of events as they happened by accelerating to a farther point in time. It's cool. And after this, it picks up exactly where it left off in the first game. Let's get some easy general critiques out of the way, and a lot of these critiques apply to the first game as well, so they really are very general. The hitboxes are pretty janky. Like, please just make the hitboxes to interact with buttons and objects way bigger. I should not need to look in a certain spot when an object is as large as it is to pick it up or to interact with it. Dude. Furthermore, I think the level and puzzle design is usually pretty bland and not that interesting. The game is littered with store-bought Unity assets and isn't very well directed from an artistic perspective. Look, it's all of the fucking models that they took from other places. Dude, this is insane. Most of the game's assets are just not theirs. And the puzzles are often unintuitive and a little frustrating, and some of the save points are really unideal. Hit his eye. Oh, that's kind of cool, actually. I honestly, I don't think I would have ever figured that out, but if there was more indication of that, that would be awesome. Because I don't think I would ever figure, but I actually kind of like that. Is that even what you're meant to do? Oh, yes. Nope. He just killed me anyways. Okay. And how am I supposed to know? How am I meant to know that? So where am I? Do I have to do the whole thing over again? Surely not, right? Oh my fucking god, I have to do the whole thing over again. That's crazy. The game's performance, despite its simplicity, is absolutely abysmal. There's really no excuse. I don't have a fantastic computer or anything, but I have a pretty decent machine. Despite that, I was getting 15 to 25 FPS max on the highest graphics settings that the game came with when I opened it. And for a substantial portion of the game, I was actually playing with graphics that actively made my game look terrible and much harder, and I didn't even know. Is it actually here? Oh my god, I can't see it. Hold on. That is just not, that shouldn't be happening. My brightness is all the way up too, which is crazy. Oh, it actually was the lighting setting. If you use anything below high, it's just, oh my god, but it's so laggy. No, it's literally perfectly fine now, but if your computer can't handle this, then you have to play like that. My standards for the game's puzzles weren't high, but when I literally couldn't see the third button in this one, I knew something was up. This is when I realized the graphics settings I chose made everything way darker than they were supposed to be. This literally just shouldn't be an issue. This should never happen. I don't understand how this happened. Anyways, let me talk about the voice acting.
Hey, you there.
What?
I can see you on the cameras. I am so happy to see you. And I need your help with something. Wait, can you even hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Listen, if you can hear what I'm saying, wave at any camera. The maintenance room.
Yeah, the voice acting is not terrible. Not at all. It is literally just the developers, by the way, because I watched one of their like dev videos, and I'm pretty sure it's just one of them.
Everyone, I want you all to welcome.
What the fuck?
You're late to class. I'll let it slide this time since it's your first day, but be late again and I'll rip you to pieces.
Okay.
You're a new and unpopular student, so you will have to sit with the unpopular table in the middle. Now sit, so we can begin.
Okay, I understand. It's not bad. Not great, but it's fine. It's pretty alright. I'm totally fine with it. I like the way that they wrote the character of BanBan and the way that they wrote the character of Banbaleena. And I think the voices are fitting and they're fine. Really, there's no issues there at all. If we start from the beginning, the first puzzle isn't that bad. All of the information for you to solve it is there, but I still do wish you were given a little bit more of a hint, which is a critique that I share for most of the game's puzzles. And speaking of puzzles, allow me to critique pretty much my least favorite part of the game. It's the drone. The drone is such an absolute pain in the ass to control, right? Like, if it was done intentionally, which it probably wasn't done intentionally, but purposeful frustration is not a good way to add difficulty to a game, okay? There was even a point where I had to like redo a puzzle because I did it too well. I think it would be better to go here. I think that actually is detrimental to me solving the puzzle. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. So by hitting it on the center of the X, it hits the edge. I actually have to hit it here. Like, what? In this other puzzle, I had to click on the button on the side in order to break the glass, which is ridiculously unintuitive. Why would I not just be able to click on the glass if the goal was to break the glass? But it doesn't make sense. For this puzzle with the really big guy, I feel like I would have never figured out that I needed to hit him with my drone. I only figured that out with the assistance of people in my chat. I actually really like this idea. It's one of the most creative puzzles, and it's probably my favorite puzzle aside from how long it took me to figure things out. It's just not executed as well as it could be. Next critique, something I have a major issue with, the chase scenes. They're really underwhelming. The chase scenes leave you with really little room for error as well, and that's kind of the problem. My issue with that is not a difficulty issue, because the chase scenes aren't hard, but the amount of time that you're allowed to mess up is so little that by the time that you've cleared the threat, you're often not even allowed to see what happens to the monster after. Like, for example, take this scene where I beat the chase scene with the spider. What happened to him? I didn't even get to see what happened to him. So stupid. That's so dumb. Whatever, man. Now, I'll talk about some good things, actually. My two praises for the game's visual design. I have pretty much two, and that's it. This guy is creepy as hell. I don't know what this is, what it's supposed to be, or who it's supposed to be, but I love this guy. This is really good. Do more of this. And when this door opens and you see this long corridor, the composition and visual design of this corridor is awesome. I really like this corridor, and I really like the colors in this corridor. It shows that you can make something look visually interesting, even if it's literally just a straight rectangular corridor that goes straight down with doors on both sides. It's super simple, but it looks great. Do more of that. That looks awesome. And I think the room at the very end having Opila bird in it is pretty cool, but I originally thought that it was going to be the snail. Since we were given no indication that Opila would be here, and we were just shown the rules of the snail like a door before this one on the wall, and it left me confused for a second because I was too uncertain to enter the room. And then once Opila starts chasing you, Banbaleena tells you to follow her to a room, but you don't actually have a way to know where that room is unless you happened to immediately turn around after getting chased by the bird. So because of this, originally, I thought it was some door that I couldn't see in the room that we were already in. And then once I did figure out where to go, I died the first time because the game doesn't give you any indication that you have to close the door behind you. So I didn't know and I just died. The next part of the review is going to talk about my favorite part of the game. The school sequence with Banbaleena is almost really good. Like, seriously, I really like the idea of her holding a school with these props that represent school cliques, and the way that it deconstructs what it's like to be in these cliques or not in these cliques, and what happens when you go from one to the other, and just like the general experience of being in school. It's cool. The gameplay aspect of using the tape playbacks to answer her questions is also really clever, unique, and downright funny sometimes. I just have one problem. Sometimes the answer to her question isn't very clear, which would be okay if you weren't punished so harshly for messing up. Because if you mess up even once, you have to start the sequence you were on all over again, and there's no way to skip the dialogue. This is really frustrating, especially if it feels like you have to guess for the correct answer. The next sequence in the game is not a bad idea in theory, but it's again an idea that fails in its execution. The baby Opila bird collection sequence is painfully tedious. It's so bad that it honestly feels like that the developers were purposefully trying to extend the runtime of the game artificially so that people would be less likely to successfully refund it. And I don't want to put words like that in their mouths because the Euphoric brothers really seem like genuinely good people, but it's pretty bad. I shouldn't have to walk back and forth for all 6 of them. It's just not, it's just like artificial gameplay. It's not well executed. The next sequence with the snail was almost good too. I had literally no issues with it at all, and I think it did a really good job of establishing horror because it had to get really close to you before you were allowed to move, and I figured it out after the first time I died what I was supposed to do. So that's totally fine. The only issue I have is that on my second attempt, when I actually did enter the room that I was supposed to be in, I died. What? What? Why did the snail kill me? I was in the fucking room. I don't know what happened. I don't know if like the hitbox just extends really widely and goes through the room and the timing was just bad or something, but I died when I succeeded. So that shouldn't have happened. I don't really know why that was. And then in this room, you play a canon game after the puzzle with the shells, which is a callback to the first game. It's pretty cool, actually. I like the idea of calling back to the first game, even if the puzzle is very simple. The canon game is fine. I actually do think it was the most skill-based part of the game, and my brain had quite a bit of fun being genuinely challenged with limited frustration. It was good. It was a good part. And after that, we transitioned to the platforming section. And I think that the platforming section is just okay. But if the movement was tweaked to allow for adjustment mid-air, kind of like in Source games, and the platforming was made more difficult or varied because of that, I think it would have been a lot more engaging. But I think it's fine for what it is, like I said, and I liked the leap of faith at the end. I think that was pretty cool, like there's the one big jump that you have to do to complete it. And with that, we reach the final room of the game. And I think that this final room actually does a really great job of establishing terror and fear. The idea of every single mascot coming out of a door at the same time in one room to find you standing inside of it is genuinely pretty scary. This is well done. This final chase scene, again, suffers from the same issue of you usually not actually ever being able to look at the monster chasing you. Except I think Jumbo Josh breaking through to try and reach you is a neat touch, but it doesn't seem like he actually can grab you. So I do wish that it was made in a way where if you messed up, he actually could grab you and end the chase scene, and that Banbaleena wasn't the only threat. What? What? Wait, what happened? Dude, I really wish that this game actually showed you what, like, because in order to complete the chase scenes, you have to go as fast as possible. You can't look behind you at what happened. It should just be a cutscene, or I should just be able to see it happen. In conclusion, I went in with low expectations and basically got what I expected. Some things were good, other things were bad, and other things were awful. I think the series has potential, and again, I really don't want to specifically bash the Euphoric brothers or anything for making a lazy game or whatever. I'm not really that kind of person. I know that regardless of what it might seem like to other people, that making a game like this still takes a lot of effort. Just because it's less effort than other games might have does not mean that there's no merit. The game is fun. I had fun playing the game. No hate to them or anything, seriously. Go play the game if you want. It's going to be in the description, but it's $5. Hopefully part 3 is better. And that's going to be all from me. I hope you all enjoyed the video, even though it was pretty short and pretty quickly put together, but until next time. So this game is not great. It's not great.